So the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X have bulldozed their way onto store shelves, and hence a new console generation has begun. Oh, and the Switch is there too. We're in for some good games over the next few years, between multi-platform releases such as Cyberpunk 2077, Xbox exclusives such as Halo Infinite, and PlayStation exclusives such as God of War Ragnarok. A lot of these are coming out within the next year, and I'm sure we're in for some great games beyond that as well. Personally, I've always been one to stick with PlayStation. My parents got me a PlayStation 1 when I was growing up, and eventually I moved on to a PlayStation 2 since everyone and their grandmother owned that console. And mostly due to my dedication to the Metal Gear Solid series, I stuck with PlayStation 3, even when everyone I knew at that time were getting super hyped for the then upcoming Halo 3 and the Xbox 360. I actually only got a PlayStation 4 roughly around the time that Marvel's Spider-Man came out. I've since picked up some great PS4 exclusives that I'm really glad that I played, but I've never gotten the same usage out of my PS4 as I have my PS3. I guess I have some nostalgic attachment to the PS3 since I grew up with that console, and there's both the individual exclusives for the PS3 and some HD re-releases of PS2 classics that I really love having on the one console. Ever since their announcement, however, there's one particular aspect that I feel Sony is much weaker compared to Microsoft on with their respective consoles, and that's their implementation of backwards compatibility. Admittedly, I waited a while before grabbing the PS4. I picked it up around the time that Marvel's Spider-Man came out, and I'm choking. Admittedly, I waited a while before getting the PS4 because I just wasn't interested in the console until there were a few worthwhile exclusives on it, such as Marvel's Spider-Man and God of War. With the PS5, however, I'm definitely going to look to pick that up a lot sooner than I did the previous iteration of the console, since that'll actually allow me to play some of my PS4 games at both digital and disc at a higher frame rate and resolution. This was also kind of the case for the first iteration of the PS3 with PS2 and PS1 games, minus the frame rates and some upscaling instead of higher resolutions. The Xbox One and the Series X have done a much better job of making the back catalogue of both the 360 and the original Xbox available for console owners to make use of. This is something I really have to commend Microsoft for. They have a console which has kind of become a one-stop for all for a number of game series that players can make use of. For example, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a launch title for both consoles. Hypothetically, if someone wanted to get into the whole series as a whole after playing it on their Series X, the backwards compatibility features would actually allow for this. They can simply pop in their old Assassin's Creed 1 discs, or, borrow them off a friend, find them somewhere else, stick them into the console, and off they go. Hooray! Whereas, if you want to play them on the PS5, you're gonna have to go and dig up a 14-year-old console to do this. Not exactly the most convenient method of doing this. It's the same scenario with a bunch of Call of Duty games, the Skate series, the Splinter Cell games. If they ever make a new one. And a lot more. PlayStation's response to the above mentioned backwards compatibility is their PlayStation Now service. But this doesn't really feel as strong as the Xbox's backwards compatibility features or Game Pass itself. PlayStation's previous gens have some classic games, including the Metal Gear Solid series, Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Resistance, Infamous, Killzone, just to name a few starting off. These exclusives are games that a lot of people have nostalgic attachment to, but at the time of writing, the only series that are fully available through PlayStation Now are Jak and Daxter, Killzone, and the Infamous series. Resistance 1 and 2 are missing. Metal Gear Solid 4 is missing. I just threw the disc because why the hell not? Sly HD is missing. Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction is missing. And the Ratchet & Clank HD collection is missing. That was a lot of noise that I probably just made. The two series there that actually surprised me the most are Ratchet and Sly HD. I thought they would definitely be on there, given that they are Sony exclusives from the PS2 era, but they're not, and I can't help but get the feeling that Sony might look at a way to repackage them and sell them back to players. I'd have nothing to base that on, but just a feeling that I have, pretty much. Also, when I have the discs of these games available, it kind of gets on my nerves a bit when Sony says, "Hey, that's great, but you gotta pay for our subscription or rebuy these games on a newer console in order to play them, buddy. You don't actually own the games, we might remove them from your library at any point. Don't worry about it." Hey, you wanted to play Ratchet HD? Nope, it's gone. You want to play Sly HD? Nope, gone. Not exactly a great. I currently have a PS2, a PS3, and a PS4 for my games that I own and regularly play, some of which I stream on my YouTube gaming channel and my Twitch channel, with both of which are linked in the description. I'd love a one for all console for all the games that I own. Hell, if a newer console were to upscale some of those older games, a la the first gen of PS3s with PS2 and PS1 games, that would be really great. It would let you replay some old classics with a new skin on them. If previous console discs were supported, it would drive a lot more business to secondhand game shops, as well as improve the value of your game collection from your previous consoles. As well as this, I think there's a silent benefit Sony could make use of. If Sony were to know some of the older games that people were playing, then they may be able to revive a series or two here and there. For example, if they found that a couple of million players were using their old copies of Timesplitter's Future Perfect, maybe Sony could use some of that data to try and go to the developer to get a new iteration of that game made, or maybe get some other games that are inspired by that game series onto their platform. I think keeping old games and generations of games alive in this way is definitely important. And it's one fold that, as a PlayStation 5 owner, I think I'll always look at Series X owners and give it a little sigh that I'll still have to keep my old consoles next time I have a PlayStation 5 in order to play some of the games that I really love.